You're listening to Through Help and Back. Through Help and Back is a podcast focused on mental health, addiction, treatment, recovery, and all things related to personal improvement and wellness. Don't worry, we're not here to talk about problems without solutions, and we're definitely not here to talk about struggles without success. So come with your problems, leave with our solutions. But I appreciate you, man. I'm appreciating Ian, but I appreciate you coming in today too. Did you have to travel, man? Are you close?
I actually just got a new job in Keene. I just quit my electrical job to go start my fitness journey here. Okay. Fitness coaching. So I'm working at a gym right now. So that's actually kind of how I'm meeting more people from Keene.
Right on. You say your fitness journey.
So I want to become a fitness coach. So I'm going to take ISSA classes right now. Okay. And get my fitness class certification and then also nutrition. Gotcha. So I can start kind of reversing the effects of today's society on people. Okay.
So you think that we live in a toxic environment?
I do.
Yeah. Is that because 80% of the people are obese? Why do you think that?
It's just a mindset that I've recently had actually so I took acid recently and I had an ego death.
Okay.
So actually my whole entire thought process on the world changed.
Was that okay? So tell me more about that. Is that an intentional thing, like an ayahuasca trip kind of deal?
Yep. I want to do ayahuasca as well. I'm planning a couple trips further on in the summer, but
you had a guide and.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to have to put a pin in that and talk about that because I've had a couple people on. No, it's actually super interesting. And speaking from the kind of the clinical perspective, ketamine and things like that are getting a lot more academic attention and all these things that we said were bad.
No, yeah.
And we're screwing people up. Now we're there may actually be some benefit to that.
I watched a lot of podcasts on acid and actually in India, a lot of yogis call it medicine. They call it I forget the actual term. It's some kind of medicine and they take it they just eat it day in and day out it's nothing.
Just microdosing, just all the time to stay in that state. Yep. Well, it's crazy because some of the stuff that we call bad, we used to call medicine. Have you seen some of those cough syrup labels from the 1920s and? Codeine and just everything, heroin.
Talk about some things addicting. Talk about chapstick right there. Chapstick is one of the most addictive things because Pfizer, or Fiverr, I think it is the company. Yeah. There's a receptor on the back of your tongue. I don't know if you know. It's called the RST1 something, and it's for dopamine sensors in your brain. And right now, they're dedicating in the research industry, in the pharmaceutical industry, and the chemical industry. Thousands of hours to understand what people will get hooked on so that they can put it in their foods and continue to do it.
So there's a book, and this is nothing news under the sun, right? So there's a book, I think it's called Sugar, Salt, Fat or something like that. Yeah. And they talked about how they got, I think it's 5 or 6 of the biggest food producers in the world. And they invited them to this landmark, event in Minneapolis. Yep. And they got together and that was kind of the topic was here's what's going on. Here's what our food's doing to people.
Right.
And I'm going to mess up the story, but it's some version of somebody kind of with a conscience stood up and said, hey, this isn't right. We need to make healthier choices for the American people. And I guess whoever was the big dog in the room, the Procter & Gamble guy or something, I'm mangling this, so it's in the book. Don't sue me.
No, right.
But he basically stood up and was no, we're going the opposite direction. Right. If we know this, we need to exploit this. Absolutely. And that's why our food is just complete junk. And,
absolutely.
Yeah, it's terrible, man. So that's crazy. That's an interesting perspective because I didn't stumble on that stuff till I was older, but you're a pretty young guy and you're picking up on it already. Yep. So do you just love it right from the start?
I do. Yeah. I do. I find anything I can learn about the actual reality is as interesting as I can because people perceive the world through their own perspective rather than stepping into someone else's shoes. So I'm a big people pleaser myself throughout all of my life. So that's what I did. I put myself in other people's shoes day in and day out to understand what they would go through so that I would understand myself more.
And what is an ego death, and how does that help with that?
An ego death, basically, for me, the best way I describe it was I had a lot of past trauma that had been brought back up to me because, when you go through life, you have things that, actually, cause trauma and your brain won't remember them. You can think about stuff in your past and you won't remember it. And that actually, I don't know if it healed or opened up a door for me to be able to, go into my subconscious and actually remember these things. So that's what I actually did, and I brought that to my parents, and my parents actually told me what had happened in my past, which actually led to me doing a whole bunch of other things. I went to therapy because of it now, And also I'm changing my like food habits, what I'm eating, because I didn't know anything about my actual self until I had done that.
Interesting. At 21, and you're like, I don't even know who I am. I don't know.
No, I don't know who I am.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to know who I am though.
Oh, gotcha. So that's the journey part
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me a little about that. So, going back and you're talking to your parents and past trauma and this journey to find yourself. I mean, how did that stuff get lost along the way? Like, what was childhood like? And
So for the most part, my parents separated when I was 10. That was a big thing for me because I was like, didn't know what was going on. I had to take care of my 2 siblings, both younger than me. My mom moved out because my dad was a drug dealer, so she didn't want to stay around. I saw a lot of abusive relationship in that, and that's why she left. So I ended up like bouncing between my father and my mother until the point where it was only my mother I'd live with for like 6 to 7 months, not see my father at all, or have a father figure with me, and then I'd bounce back to him and see what it was like.
like voluntarily, like you were just choosing?
So I love my father regardless. I know he's fucked up and he's done a lot of fucked up things in my life. I'm not sure where my father stands in my life, but I know that I love my father regardless of whether or not he's going to fuck me over tomorrow or the day after. That's just who I am.
Yeah, so you're saying like 10 years old is when the divorce happened, but did you know this was coming? Had you seen signs leading up to it, or was it like things were okay and then 10 happened and then boom, everything went to hell?
So I guess I could say the first thing that I noticed was my mom had come back from, I don't know where she was, but she was bleeding on her head. And she looked like she had been hit by a sign or something like that. And like both my parents were arguing, so I'd walk into the room, see what was going on. And that was kind of like the starting point of when I realized like something's not right here. Like they were never officially married, so it wasn't like a divorce and filing paperwork and all that like thing you have to go through. But it was definitely like a big changing experience because I had to move schools. So I've actually moved like 15 times through schools. Yeah.
Just all throughout your childhood?
All throughout my childhood. Until high school, and then I stayed in high school throughout my 4 years.
What's that like, bouncing around like that?
It was hard. I had no friends. I didn't fit in with anyone. I was like a little bit different because I didn't want to like do all the things all the kids did. I didn't like making fun of people. I didn't like doing all these drugs. I didn't like smoking. I didn't like drinking in high school. I didn't really like the like day-to-day average person's life.
Kids are a mess.
Yeah.
They're mean as shit.
No, hey, I'm a mess, so you know.
But it's just funny. The first thing is like I don't like making fun of people. Like,
I don't.
Yeah,
I don't.
Yeah.
That's a big thing about me is like, I don't know. You have a choice. You have 2 choices. You can either think about what you want to say to someone, or you can just say it.
Right. There's a guy I follow, Jefferson Davis. He helps with like conflict and stuff like that. And he says, nobody can make me say anything I don't want to say. Right. Because there's that moment of choice.
Absolutely.
In there. And that's good for a guy like me who, sometimes I can get emotional. Sometimes I can like, pop off.
Absolutely.
It's important to remember you have a choice there.
It is. So. It absolutely is. I truly think that emotion is, as much as it is hard to explain and control, if you can take yourself out of your body and look at yourself, look at why you're crying, look at why you're angry, look at why you're upset, look what's going on in your environment, you will understand more things, and you can either just continue to be upset and continue to cry and continue to be angry, or you can wonder why you're being upset, why you're angry, why you're like yelling at your parents, why you're being a quote unquote terrible son, and growing past that.
Was that the feedback that you got? That they blamed you and said?
Oh, I was blamed for a lot of things. So like my siblings loved messing around. I loved messing around. Like, you're a kid. You don't know what you're doing. You fuck around. I always took the blame for them because I felt that they shouldn't be like penalized or in trouble, or like, I hate people being upset. I hate seeing someone upset for the fact of like no reason. You didn't need to make someone upset. You didn't need to pick on someone. You didn't need to give someone a hard time. You definitely needed to understand what they did wrong. You needed to approach that in a way of, I would say love and kindness, but also a firm love and kindness where it's like, hey, you did this and you shouldn't have done this. I want you to know this. I'm not going to make your life miserable for the next week and a half. I'm going to, help you understand what it is you did wrong, make you realize or apologize. So that's what I did as a kid. Like one thing I would steal from the store because I didn't have a lot of money. So I would get like a candy bar or something I put in my pocket because that's what my father had done. Yeah. So I got that bad habit from my father. So then later on in life, I would realize that, hey, I don't need that candy bar. I don't need to take that candy bar. I need to apologize for taking that candy bar and I need to move on from my life in that aspect.
It's hard though. I mean, listen, I grew up poor. We had enough, but we didn't have any extras. And I definitely can connect with that urge of like, you see it, you want it.
No, exactly.
You see other kids who have it,
Exactly.
and you're kind of like jealous. And
Exactly. Jealousy is a big one. Yeah.
why am I missing out?
Yep.
It's not fair.
No, absolutely.
When you said I don't like to see people upset, and then I think about the early part of your story with like a divorce, and sounds like physical abuse in the home, sounds like addiction in the home, younger siblings. I mean, you must have moving 15 times. I mean, you must have seen people upset all the time.
Oh, big time. One of the biggest things that really like irritated me as a kid was seeing my parents fight. Just like seeing two people like full on like veins popping, like faces red, like anger for no reason, when you could just have a conversation like we're having right now about something and move on and get over it. Or you don't get over it and you do it tomorrow, and then you get over it tomorrow.
When you're a kid though, I know you're making sense of it as an adult now. When you're a kid in that house, what was your thought when that would happen?
So actually, I didn't like hang around the house a lot. Okay. I actually left because I couldn't put myself in that predicament, which is fucked up, I guess, on my part, but it's also not fucked up in a sense of like, I don't know, I think I go both ways with a lot of things. But I had to actually leave like the house a lot, so I was never home, and I actually missed out a lot on my younger siblings' lives. So now I'm actually like, with my new mindset, going back into their life, trying to figure out what it is they want, what it is they want out of life, what it is they like doing, what it is that we can do together to build that better bond, because family is truly everything.
From a guy who had a pretty rough family.
No, absolutely.
Experience.
Absolutely. I want to be as close to my family as I can, whether or not that means giving them a call every day or doing something with them or seeing them months on end or not seeing them months on end.
With that kind of family situation, I'm curious. So, I was a therapist for a long time. I talked to a lot of therapists, and we frankly work with people like you a lot. And they say like, okay, you're having some difficulty. How can we help you out? And I can read the literature on that, and I can read all the books, and I can have that. But I don't really like know the experience, right? That's one thing that you have to understand as a therapist is I take a not knowing stance on a lot because I don't know. I can read about it.
Right.
I can know about.
Right.
But knowing is living and experiencing. So, I mean, what was the impact on you? I hear some of the people pleasing stuff, but like, were you a nervous guy? Were you an angry guy? Were you just?
I have a lot of anger still. I'm definitely an angry guy. I hold my anger pretty well because I go work out a lot, and that's where I get my anger out. And that was definitely something I would recommend to people who have a lot of anger. Like I used to box. Okay. I'd have a punching bag, and late at night, like 1 or 2 in the morning, when I just couldn't sleep, I'd go pound that thing. Yeah. I'd pound it until either I was done pounding it or my knuckles were like bleeding red.
It's like the classic putting somebody's face on the
I would do that too. Yeah. I would do that. I'd put my own face actually.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Where's that come from? Because that's come through a couple times where it's like, hey, these people over here are making mistakes, but like I could have done better. I should have done so. Where is that like, you make the mistake, but I take the punishment? Where's that coming from?
Well, it's hard because like my belief is like, as much as there is wrong and much as there is right, there's also like that balance in between where it's like, well, you do something wrong. What are you doing? Why are you doing that? Like, what's the reason behind that wrongful thing? And is that wrongful thing actually right in your own mind? And whether or not that's true to the case.
Yeah, it's really insightful. I just don't know at 21 if I thought about any of that shit. You know what I mean? At 21, I was like, I was playing baseball. I was in college. I was like, when's the next class? When's the next party? When's the next, adventure I want to go on? And I guess maybe that's the gift of not having so much chaos.
So yeah, so like I was saying, when I would leave the house, I would actually go for drives, and that's where I would just ponder. I would ponder my life. So I'd actually like drive out in the middle of fields, and I would just stare at the stars, and I would just wonder. I would wonder and think and question and question everything. That's one thing I would say. Question everything.
What were the questions that came up the most often?
What am I doing in my life that I could better? What habits do I have that are not actually beneficial to me? What habits do I have in my life that are beneficial? What are things that I can keep close to me and continue to have that throughout life? And what are things that I should probably start to die off because they're actually not helping me and they're actually going to give me a reversed impact on my life and actually bring me down? So all of my relationships I've had quite a few. I've always either left them or they've left me because I've helped them or they've helped me. And then it's gotten to the point where I didn't need them in my life. I either wanted them in my life or I didn't want them in my life.
Is it hard to be in a relationship after seeing relationships go so bad?
Yes and no. I would say yes for the most part, because then you want to build yourself up, which is weird. Because like when you're in a relationship, you get in a relationship to be with someone, and then later on you end up not being with that person because you're not taking care of yourself.
Gotcha.
You're trying to take care of the other person rather than yourself.
You're trying to take care of them.
Yeah, exactly. No, yes.
Like you used to take care of your siblings, like you used to try to help mom. Yeah, yeah. It seems obvious that some of those patterns started there. Like,
absolutely.
I'll jump in.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and so now it's kind of bled over into your personal relationships. And you,
absolutely.
Yeah, because what would it be like to be with somebody who didn't need your help, right?
Yeah, exactly. You don't know what you do.
That could just enjoy you, and you could just enjoy them.
That'd be awesome. That would be awesome. I'm waiting for that.
I wonder if it would. I wonder if it would make you feel awkward.
It would definitely make me feel awkward. I'd definitely,
Because I hear this in like relationships, like sometimes when people have been through abusive relationships, right? And they'll find a nice person and they'll go, it's too nice. It's too nice. Like, I don't know. I just feel kind of weird, right?
I've been called the too nice person.
So you've on the other side of that. And what they're saying there in sort of technical terms is like, I'm used to chaos.
Right.
And I'm used to having to be the fixer. I'm used to have to play a certain role. And you don't need that from me.
Right.
And so, there's a whole lot to unpack here, but the idea of need versus want, right? Need in a relationship can feel really safe. If you need me, then I'm safe. You got to keep me around. If you just want me, that's a choice. That's scary because you could want something else. You could make a different choice, right? And so that's what I think happens there. It's like I'm used to one behavioral pattern. I'm used to one relational pattern. This one may be on paper healthier, but it's just,
So you actually saying that made me think of like me wanting to be needed rather than wanted more in my life. Like I felt like I needed to be this and I needed to be that rather than I wanted to be this, I wanted to be that. I wanted you to be there for me instead of I needed you to be there for me.
And the need and the shoulds, you have to then, if you dig a little deeper, you go, well, says who?
Right. No, exactly.
According to who? Where did that come from?
Exactly.
Yeah. Kind of an abrupt change, of course, but I'm just so curious again, because I haven't had that experience. As a child were both your parents struggling with addiction?
My mom actually quit addiction when I was like, I think it was 10 when she stopped drinking.
So when she got the divorce?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good for her.
Yep.
Since then.
No, yeah. She actually put me, she's my big inspiration. My mom took care of me and my siblings for, I think it was like 4.5 years on her own. Living, had to get in a whole new house, had to move schools, her figuring it out. Like an individual mom, I don't know how many individual moms out there, probably millions and millions, but they are doing an amazing job. So props to them.
Yeah, most are. And it serves as a nice example because parents can tell you anything, but you look at what they do. You watch what they do.
You absolutely do.
So dad was primarily struggling with addiction. So what is it like to be the child of an addicted father?
Your father's not around a lot. My father didn't go to my graduation as a high school student when he could have. I asked him to. I could have drove him, and he chose not to go. He went to jail a lot, so he was in and out. I never really had like the connection from a father figure in my life that I should have. So I found that elsewhere, searching it through other people. What else? Let's see. No, yeah, it's definitely like not something I would recommend for anyone to ever go through, but it definitely makes you a lot stronger and a lot more of a built individual, I would say.
Seeing that and watching those behaviors and seeing were you mostly scared? Were you mostly angry? Were you
mostly angry? It would make me really irritated, actually, to see my father not want to put effort into his children. That was the biggest thing. Is like, why would you have a kid? And I know like this is a broad thing to say, but why would you have a kid if you're not going to be there for that kid? I know life, like you go through a lot of shitty things and you have your own experiences, but if you're going to have a kid or like you're going to like mess up and have a kid on accident, at least do your very, very best to be there for that kid. And my father, I can honestly say, like, as much as like addiction is a true thing, you can overcome addiction. Addiction is also a mental thing, and my father's not mentally strong enough or was mentally strong enough to do that for us.
Do you still talk to him now?
I do. Yeah. Not very often, but I do.
Yeah. Have you said those?
I have. Me and my father have gone back and forth night in and day out about all this shit. I will honestly tell my father straight to his face how I feel about him.
What's his response now versus what his response was then?
A lot different. He's a lot more slower because of the accidents he's been through. So it's kind of like almost talking to someone with dementia. He forgets a lot of things, so I either don't remind him again or I just get upset and I end up leaving because it's just hard to do. But
What about you and mom?
we're getting a little better. I still argue with her a lot right now because our moral views on life are different. But for the most part, it's getting better.
A lot of times, kids in particular, when they have to go through that, they develop certain what I call survival skills, right? Whether they can take their mind to a different place or they, like you said, kind of disappear and go ponder and contemplate. What do you think were some of your protective skills or survival skills that you
A
developed?
protective skill, I would get really defensive, which isn't a very good protective skill, but I would get super defensive. I'd be like, why are you blaming me? Why are you doing this? Why are you telling me this? Why are you doing that? I don't believe this. I don't believe that. Being super, super defensive, not letting anyone get in and not letting anyone like damage my interior.
How's that working for you? Is that pretty good?
For the most part, it's actually kind of doing a reverse effect. It's actually not what I wanted. So I'm being more open about my things now and telling people when things bother me so that I don't have to hold it in myself.
When do you think you stopped being a kid? Because you're 21, right?
I lost my virginity at 13. So
Okay.
I would honestly say probably like 14 or 15.
That was it?
That was it.
Not 10?
No. I would say 10 is when
Not when you had to be the big brother. You had to be the step-in parent. And you had to be the guy who held it together.
I would say my mom, honestly, like held me together,
That's
which
good.
held me and my siblings together. So as long as I had my mom when I was younger, I was going to be able to take care of my siblings because I knew that I had someone to take care of me.
Yeah.
So if I could take care of them, that someone could take care of me.
Yeah. It just, as I'm sitting here listening to your story, I'm just imagining somebody who like, at 10 years old has to worry about people coming, going in the house.
Oh,
or
absolutely.
people, like,
Absolutely.
Safety. Like
Yep.
something.
No, I would actually bring my sister and my siblings up, my sister and my brother, upstairs into the house compared to like the main floor so that they would get away from that. And then that's also why I would go outside and do a lot of things so that we weren't surrounded by seeing a bunch of people coming in and out of our house and them wondering what they're doing, why they're doing it. All the beer, all the smoking. My dad was a big pothead. My whole entire life until the age of 18, I didn't smoke or drink because I was so against that. And then for whatever reason, one day I was like, I'm going to smoke. And it wasn't out of the fact of like, I didn't want to smoke or I wanted to smoke or I was stressed. It was more of the fact of like, I have matured enough as a person to want to understand what smoking is and what it does to you as a person. So like smoking for me, I smoke a lot still, and that internalizes you, for me at least. It makes you think more about like your thoughts, more about what you're doing. That's why people get really anxious when they smoke compared to just being themselves and like just presenting like how you are in action rather than in word.
It's an interesting thing because that's actually something I have run into a lot where I'll work with families and especially the kids will say like, well, I saw my dad do A, B, and C, right? And I swore I was never going to do that, right? And then here I am doing the same kind of stuff. Now, obviously, you're not raising a family at this point. There's different levels of it. But it's interesting. So you think it was like an exploration thing? Like I was ready to learn what this was about? Like I wonder how you crossed that line.
I honestly couldn't tell you. I was working electrical and I just quit electrical work recently this last Friday. And it was my first like Christmas party and I hadn't smoked at all. And it was just like, hey, you want this joint? And like I was doing good in life. I was doing really good. I was working out every morning, 5 a.m. I'd go to work after and I'd go hang out with my friends because it was the summer. I was like living life. It was awesome. I didn't have anything that I felt like this was like, kind of masking, like no emotion where that would mask. It was more just my interest in what is available and what there is out there.
How is your brother and sister? How'd they survive this?
They don't talk a lot, but I definitely know that they're very internalized. They don't talk to anyone. They actually hold a lot of anger and like frustration in. So they don't see my father at all. They haven't seen my father in probably like a couple of years, which is pretty unfortunate, but I try and talk to them about it. They're not quite open to doing this and talking about it, but definitely I feel like later in life that they'll understand and want to do this so that they can move on and better themselves as a person.
It's heart-wrenching to hear, right? You have a whole family that's kind of the trajectory of that family and each child's life has been altered, right? And anger seems to be part of all of your stories. You've said that you turn it inward and angry at yourself and they're angry and
oftentimes I would like look at myself and see what I was doing wrong, when in reality it wasn't something I was doing wrong. It was just what was put on the table.
Right. So why? So I give you the blame. Why put it on yourself?
Honestly, I couldn't tell you exactly why that is. It was probably just from like a lot of like self-doubt and a lot of insecurity as a kid. I was a larger kid. I was fat. I was picked on for having a fat ass personally. which is, I guess,
You're
funny.
born too soon.
Yeah,
now it's perfect. Everybody, it's all the kids talk about.
It is.
No, I'm just kidding.
No, it's very much true. Like, people would pick on me in the gym, people would pick on me in the locker room, and that's definitely where like my insecurity came from. So that's where I would say I would like look at myself and see what I was doing wrong rather than like just how it was.
It's just a lot of consistent messages, right? So chaos at home, being picked on at school. It's just, I mean, I know you're taking a positive spin and you're sort of like, hey, I can build on this, I can use this, stuff like that. But I mean, on some level, it's like just sounds like a shitty childhood.
It is. It does suck. I oftentimes like have myself pondering like, what's good, what's bad, what am I doing? Should I be doing this? Should I not be doing this? Back and forth in like today's like time, and it's just kind of like mind-boggling. Like, my head races so much.
Because it's not just you in there, right? It's the mother, it's the addicted father, it's
it's everyone that I compared myself to rather than just being myself.
I'll start with when were you happy as a kid? Because it sounds like you're managing
like
a lot.
Age are you talking about? Like just time periods?
Just when you're doing stuff, like maybe
when I'm active,
okay.
when I'm physically doing something, because I truly think that like action is just amazing. Movement in general.
Yeah.
If you're upset, go do something.
Yeah.
If you're like angry, if you want to stress eat, go do something.
Mm-hmm.
Go physically do something. Move around. Do jumping jacks. Do push-ups. Do whatever. Get that thought out of your head, and that's what I did. I would just go play basketball, or I would go run around outside, or I would go throw frisbee. Any sport you can think of, I would try and go do.
And is that still useful to you today?
Wicked useful.
Yeah.
Wicked useful. I oftentimes, where I'm in Brattleboro, I go to a gym at like 1 or 2 in the morning with my brother, and we'll just go play basketball. We'll just go get all that shit that we're like pent up and just go get it out in basketball. It's awesome.
Yeah, no, it's good. It takes people a long time to find those coping skills.
No, it absolutely does. It absolutely does.
So to have something that lasted through your childhood and beyond is a gift. Before we go on, I want to say a few words about Anew Behavioral Health. Anew Behavioral Health is an outpatient provider of mental health and substance abuse services in Ohio and New Hampshire. That means that Anew can successfully treat mental health and substance abuse issues or dual diagnosis if you're struggling with both. Their integrated approach allows for them to successfully address issues related to anxiety, depression, addiction, trauma, and really anything that stands between your life and the life you could be living. You really cannot bring them an issue that they have not successfully treated. They have also solved one of the biggest problems for people seeking help. They have a dedicated team waiting to hear from you at helpnow@anewbh.com. If you contact them today, within 24 hours, you will have heard back from, wait for this, a real live person, and will also have your first appointment scheduled at that time. So how do you contact them? Well, if you're in Ohio or New Hampshire, you're probably close to one of their local locations. You're welcome to go in. If not, you can always reach them online at anewbh.com. And if you're interested in services for you or a loved one, use that address, helpnow@anewbh.com. A lot of what I've discovered on this show is like there's kind of these paths to assistance and help where like you have like your traditional therapies, your psychiatry and your therapy and stuff like that. And then you have kind of what I call intervention-based stuff, which is what you're talking about. Like there's the things that work in concept, right, and have a lot of research behind it. But then there's other things that you find individually that just work. And like that would be like the cold plunging and the somatic work and the running and the things like that. So did you have access to those types of things growing up as well? Did you access traditional therapy or was this just kind of you on your own figuring this shit out?
It was honestly a lot of me on my own figuring it out. I didn't really have a lot of conversations with my parents about my feelings or about like what was going on in life. I would just go do my own thing. I'd seclude myself. So I would definitely say it was more individual-based learning rather than like someone being like, hey, try this out. Hey, try this out. See what this does for you. Tell me if this helps.
Have you ever been in therapy?
I have.
Okay.
I was in therapy for like 4 years in middle school because I was a mischievous child. So
go figure.
Yeah.
Yeah. You had a lot going on. What was your experience like? I mean, I've been in therapy with a lot of people, but I've been on this side of the table. So was it helpful or?
It was actually super helpful. It made me like realize that like what I was doing and why I was acting out was because things that were happening at home. So I would take that into account and I would talk to my therapist about it. And he would actually give me like great ideas. Like for instance, like sports, like he recommended I go do sports. He recommended I go be active, go do something with my time rather than sit and contemplate it and stress over it more.
And that obviously worked.
Obviously. Oh, another thing that we did was we played Uno.
Okay.
Uno, for me, has always been like something to just get my mind off of. It's just an easy card game where it's like two people. You can have a great combo playing cards. And it really, you don't even think about it, but you're telling everything you need to know.
Yeah. Good therapist.
It is, yeah.
Found a way to get you relaxed and focused on something else.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
everything started flowing.
Absolutely.
That's like that phenomenon, like you like to drive, right? So you put somebody in the car, and you're like, let's go. You drive for a while, and about 45 minutes in, here comes all the talking, and everybody starts spilling their guts.
Yep.
And there's just something about almost being in trance. You're seeing the road and everything go
absolutely.
by. Things going now. So has it been the same? So that's when you were happy as a kid. When are you happy now?
Right now I'm happy kind of just living my life. I really did have a big turn. I did electrical work for 3.5 years because that's what my parents pushed on me to do. That's what I thought I had to do when I got out of high school. That's what I thought was going to make me the money, was going to make me happy in life. And I just pushed through it the first 2 years, and then at the end of the second year I was done. I was cooked out. I didn't know what I was doing. I was complaining a lot. I wasn't having a good time. I was partying more than I shouldn't have. And I had a convo with my mom, and I was like, hey, I'm not sure if I want to do this. And then she just said, keep doing it, Just keep, and I'm not a quitter person. I don't believe in quitting. So in the aspect of, I'm just going to keep doing this for one more day. Just one more day. And then that one last day finally came up, and I was like, I can actually spend my time doing a lot more things and a lot more freedom in my time of what I want to do rather than working 8.5, 9 hours a day on a job that wasn't, one, not paying me what I thought I should be paid. Two, I'm working my ass off and looking at other people that I work with that do nothing. They do actually nothing. They are watchers while I go work.
Yeah, we see that with state workers a lot. The highway crew.
My stepdad works for the state, for example, and great guy, nothing wrong with him, but he's lazy. He's a lazy person.
I wonder how many people look lazy next to you, man. You seem like a go, go, go.
I am. I've always been a go, go, go. If I stay at home for too long, it's something inside me just says move. Whether or not I'm doing push-ups in my house or yoga in my house at random times, it's just something.
I mean, could it be that your childhood experience was if you sat at home for too long, something bad was going to happen in that home?
Very well. That's a great thing to think about. I've not thought about that, actually.
I mean, you've got patterns in there, and your mind knows those patterns even if consciously you're not thinking about those patterns.
Right.
My best example is when I first started driving, I merged into a left-hand lane without looking, and I hit a car door to door. It was okay. The car got scraped up. It was a piece of shit car anyway. And he drove off. He must not have had insurance or whatever. Everybody survived. Nobody hurt. Everything's fine. But, to this day, if I don't quadruple check, merge to the left, I get a little shudder. If I just get over, I just kind of, I just get a little bit ugh. And I'm not consciously thinking about that tiny little scrape, you know what I mean? But it's in there, right?
No, you're absolutely right.
And so imagine I
can reflect to that. So I've been a fair amount of accidents, kind of brutally accidents. I flipped a truck.
Okay, that's a little bit bigger than what I dealt with.
Yeah, I don't know how you flip a truck, but I flipped a truck and I just walked out of it miraculously. And you're absolutely right. That non-thinking about it, when I'm driving a truck and I'm going around a corner and I know it's slick, what happened was my back end came out and I overcorrected and I fucked up. And then, so you're absolutely right with little patterns in your mind that you don't think about. And then all of a sudden you think about them.
The difficult thing for you is, how many people talk about I just want to go home and chill, right? I just want to go home, and home is your safe place. And one of your patterns is embedded in a traditionally safe place. So I wonder, man, what that looks like at 30 or 35. Can you ever get to a place where you can?
I honestly hope so. I definitely think in these 20, the 20s, I am an old soul, so I say 20s, but I'm going to really focus on what I want to do, and I'm going to go do it. And then in my 30s, I plan on retiring. I actually plan on retiring at 25 and living just whatever traveling life I can. I want to go see the world.
Just keep moving.
Yeah.
Not have a home.
Yeah. Well, I mean, everything. I truly think everyone's my home. Everyone and anything is my home. So when I go drive around, I go talk to people like you and just people on the side of the walk I don't even know. It's something about me that I bring out into someone that just makes them a little brighter in the day. I see a little more brightness. I see a little more smile. I see a little more pep in their step. I don't know what it is, but I love that and I chase that.
Well, you were in a position to, like I said, be a help to your mom, be a help to your brother and your sister. And when things felt like they were going a little bit better, when you put a smile on their face, that probably felt pretty good.
Oh, absolutely.
And so now, and there's that idea, we've said it on the show a million times, that people often become who they wish they had when they were younger, right? So you were trying to become this healthy person, strong personality, goal-focused and oriented, not lazy, a lot of movement, who is, you said, people-pleasing and brings comfort and a smile to others. I mean, that sounds like somebody you would have liked to hang out with when you were 8 years old.
Absolutely. I wish I had like a twin me, because me and him would conquer the world.
Yeah.
I say this to everyone, but I truly think so.
And you'd feel safe with them.
Absolutely.
What do you wish your parents knew when this was all going on? Like if you could go back in time and talk to them about the impact it was having, or just something that wasn't in their awareness that you wish that they were aware of during this time.
I wish they knew that I had a hard time. I did a lot of like crying on my own. I did a lot of like dealing with shit on my own. And as a kid, like, you shouldn't have to deal with a lot of shit on your own. You should have your parents for you for that. And you should have other people and your friends. And I did everything based on just me, because I thought that I had to do it myself.
Probably a little too soon for that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Same type of question, but what do you wish you knew back then?
I wish I knew that everything I'm doing right now is for a reason, and that actually I just need to have a little more fun in life and not be so serious. I take a lot of things seriously, and I shouldn't. Because life, as much as it is serious, I tell this to everybody and they don't like it, but you don't know when your last day is. You really don't. And a lot of people take that for granted every day. And I'm definitely a person that wakes up every morning and thanks that I woke up. I thank the sun that I woke up. I thank myself that I woke up. I thank my family for being able to wake up and have food on the table, and just all around like a positive outlook on life, rather than, oh, what if this, or what if that, or why can't this, or why can't that.
Do you think the 8 to 10-year-old you who was just going through the shit could have heard or understood that message? Because it's really hard to say, like, hey, don't worry, like, this is for a reason.
You're still going to worry. No, yeah. It is very hard. I definitely think that if I saw myself today, I'd probably break out crying. And him would be like, who is this guy? Because he would not be able to recognize himself.
That would be weird. An older version of you shows up, just cries.
Hey, hey, he's like, what's that guy crying for, yeah. No, exactly.
Did anybody help you? I mean, did you have anybody that stepped up?
I had a lot of friends that were really, like, I guess, in a sense, there for me in the aspect of, like, since I didn't like being home, I'd, like, go to my friend's place, and that's where I would stay. And oftentimes I'd actually sleep in my car, so I consider my car like my home. Yeah. I love my car, any car I have. And that is where I would say that they helped me. They helped me in the aspect of, like, when I needed an escape, they were there for me, and they were there for me both physically and occasionally sometimes mentally. But it was more the physical spot, because, like, I needed to take myself from that physical spot and get to another physical spot where I could actually look at the situation from that spot in a different, like, view.
So working out is great. We talked about this before the show, like, and even head to head against like antidepressants, like working out wins. It doesn't compete, it wins. But you seem so focused on the movement and the physical aspect of that. Any theories as to why that's so important? Does it just work for you? I mean,
no. So I've been in like I said, quite a few relationships, and I've actually been in a lot of relationships where the women I was with actually got on antidepressants, and it changed them like completely as a different person. It's a completely different version of you when you're on antidepressants.
You're chemically altered.
No, exactly.
You're not high.
No, yeah.
It does change your brain chemistry. No, that's the point.
Absolutely. And one thing I noticed was when that happened, I would take a step back from working out and like making myself better, and I would just focus on them instead of myself.
Back to that old pattern.
Yeah. Yep.
Don't worry about me. I'm going to focus on you.
Yeah. So now I'm worrying more about me in my later time.
You need a really needy girlfriend. That'd be like perfect.
That'd be awesome. That would be awesome. Any needy girlfriends out there, like just let me know.
That would scratch that itch.
It would. Oh man.
Well, there's plenty of them out there.
Oh yeah.
But I don't think it'd be healthy for you. But I think it would definitely fit like a puzzle piece right now, right?
No, absolutely.
It would allow you to go into caretaker mode and codependency.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It'd definitely take a lot of stress off my back, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah.
For the time being, until I found another.
Well, it just would fit. It's that chaos, right? Like, I mean, again, we talk about repeating patterns and like who's not, people, what's healthy versus what feels comfortable. Right. And that girl who says, well, he's too nice, it's sort of a version of that, like if you dated somebody who was an active addiction, how that works. Right. It wouldn't be good for you, right. But you know the rules of that game. Right. And you could be very comfortable. So I think one challenge for you is going to be really boundaries, keeping yourself safe and protected and not participating in that stuff that's going to draw you back into that old place. Right. Absolutely. Why have an ego death if you're going to go back and just relive it? Absolutely.
I'm having a hard time struggling with not quitting, but stopping smoking as frequently. Just for the fact of I have a lot of brain fog still, and I've actually brought my brain fog down substantially because of how much I used to smoke. Yeah. But I'm trying to get to the point where I don't have to smoke to it's mostly because I'm bored. Yeah. I smoke because I'm bored. I don't know what to do, so I'll go smoke and then I'll think. Yeah. So I'm getting to the point where I can actually quit. I want to say quit, but stop smoking because I don't think you quit anything. Stop smoking for the time being to better my health. Yeah. You really are an old soul. I didn't even know people smoked anymore. I figured you'd be like people your age vape and do pineapple flavored smoke and shit like that. So the smoking's an interesting habit for sure. But it's a coping skill. No, it is. So I'm talking about cannabis. Gotcha. Okay. Gotcha. Not necessarily smoking cigarettes. Gotcha. I did vape and I actually quit vaping for 2.5 years. I quit on December 3rd. Gotcha. So it actually works out. So nobody young is smoking cigarettes. No, yeah, I hope. Actually, I don't know. So the other day, I'm walking to Walmart, right, and I see this 14-year-old kid with his pants sagged down, pull out a vape, and then his buddy looked like he was maybe 15, maybe 16, pull out a pack of cigarettes and start smoking right in the Walmart parking lot. I was baffled. Well, they're doing it in school. No, yeah, it's ridiculous. Yeah. They're pushing it in school. Honestly. The bathrooms are tough, and the vape pens, and sneaking and hiding them. And it's in high school, I thought it was not cool to jewel. That was my quote. That's funny. It wasn't. It's not. Dumb. It's still not. It is. It is. You look like a bounty hunter from the future with a little light up. No, pen. It's a weird thing. What's next for you, man? Where does this path lead? You said this is all for a reason. What are those reasons as you see it? I want to be financially stable enough to go travel the world. By 25. I want to have enough money where I can just go to a different place, work out wherever I want to work out, and go see the amazing views that there are in this world. Because I've done a little bit of traveling myself. I've traveled from Niagara Falls all the way down to Virginia, which isn't a big chunk of the U.S., but on myself, doing it with my buddies, it was definitely an eye-opening experience to how much there is out there. Because I lived in a very small part of the world, very, very rural, very non-city, very close people, everybody, compared to all this out there that it's amazing. Very interesting to me. You're going to be an Into the Wild guy. No, I would love that. It'd be so cool. See that movie? Yeah. We talked a little bit earlier about, therapists and helpers working with people like you and things like that. So I want to kind of flip that because, again, only you can kind of know that experience. We can read about it. We can experience it secondhand through you. But I asked kind of what you wish you could have said to your parents and what you wish you could say to yourself. What do you wish that the helpers out there knew about troubled children, how to connect with them, people who are dealing with those transitions? How could people who do engage with those kind of kids help them better? One thing is actually kind of funny because I would love to be a therapist. I say this because you'd be good at it. Thank you. I appreciate that. That means a lot, actually. I would say rather than somebody telling you their experience, have them tell you their experience. Exactly what therapists do. They don't they're not there to tell you what they did in life and what works for them. They're there to let you tell them what they did in life and give them advice based on that. And not based on their own experiences, just based on what they've understand and what, just the world is. So a lot of parents will put their own expectations on kids, and it's really upsetting. And they don't even think they're doing it. They don't realize they're doing it, but it's pushing them to be people that they either don't want to be or they just get, caught up in life and they don't know where they want to be. And they don't do anything. And that was going to be my follow-up question is parents. What do parents need to do differently? So you kind of touched on that for sure. Yeah, I think, when you get into doing therapy, the earliest inclination or instinct is
to dispense advice.
Yeah, it absolutely is.
And I don't think that's what you ultimately need, because if therapists do their job right, they put themselves out of business. You don't want to hang out with me every single day. You want to learn what you need to learn and use that time for reflection, and then you equip yourself and go forward in the world and you go like that. Do you still worry about your brother and sister? Like, how old are they now?
They're 18, and my sister just actually turned 17 yesterday.
So you got some adults now.
I do. It's actually really different being like as a child growing up and having like that mindset of an adult, and then getting to my 20s and having the mindset of like a 30-year-old man, and just like where I want to be at in life compared to where they think they should be at and where they want to be at. Absolutely.
It's an interesting point, because I just wonder, I talked about having a tough childhood. I wonder how much of a childhood you felt like you even got to have.
I feel like after like the age of 10 or 12, I really stopped having a childhood, and it was really just like me taking care of people and me like just being there.
Mm-hmm. No. Does that show up now? Are you trying to recapture some of that?
I am.
Too late?
So it's funny. So in the household right now, I still live with my parents, and everybody, as much as they don't say that, I think they all hate me right now because of my mindset's changed so much. So like I quit my job. They didn't expect that. I changed my mindset. I changed my food habits. I'm showing them who I am and want to be rather than just me not showing them at all.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they're taking that in the like aspect of this guy's, completely different. And it's actually really upsetting because my mom actually accused me of being bipolar. So I have to go through that whole thing. I'm going to a therapist or a psychiatrist to see if I have any symptoms of bipolarism.
What do you think?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Personally.
Why does she think?
Because my mom's a big worrywart. All she does is worry, and it's actually really like not healthy. It's actually affecting her health personally, I think. So she'll worry and think about every little thing that's negative rather than the few positive things that she could think about.
Gotcha.
And that takes a big drastic toll on your body and your mind.
Sure. You still worry about her a lot?
I do. I love my mom. As much as I love my mom, I've also like grown into a mature adult where it's like I'm an individual. As much as like I love my family and being a family-based person, I'm very much more an individual person.
Yeah.
Like, I was a big family person. I was a big get married, have kids, all this and that. But now I just want to focus on bettering myself and then being able to provide for a family and provide for my kids.
Sure. Well, a lot of what you're dealing with is tied into control now, right? Things were very out of control back then.
Right.
Counting on other people didn't work out so good.
Right.
You had to step up and do that. There were financial resources that were in place. And so
absolutely.
It only makes perfect sense that you would want to control those variables before you recreate that whole situation. Yeah, that bird leaving the nest is important for the mom bird and the baby bird.
It is.
And not just physically, emotionally and kind of drawing those boundaries.
I'm like trying to have the combo with my mom where it's like, I'm no longer a child. Like, I don't want to be I don't want to be mothered. I don't want you to mother me. I want you to have a good adult conversation with me where I can understand your morals on life and what you've gone through, and you can understand mine. And we can either come to agreements or we can just agree to disagree in life. And that's completely fine as well.
Yeah, mothered's awful close to smothered. So
yeah, I try not to, but
you have to be careful with that.
I know.
For sure. It's interesting. So what's interesting to me is that people like tell themselves stories. They have to make sense of what's going on all the time, right? And so you're changing, you believe, for the positive.
Yep.
You're getting these goals, physically, mentally, spiritually. You're on this journey and trying to make positivity, and you're trying to make positive steps in life. You're evolving.
Yep.
And your mother's best story she can tell herself about that is he must be mentally ill.
Yep.
Because this doesn't make sense to me. This new version of him doesn't make sense. It may just be a matter of time, right?
No, everything's a matter of time.
She has to see
later
it,
on. Oh yeah, she will
see the change.
Yep, no doubt.
Or you could be bipolar.
I guess we'll find out.
I'm not a psychologist. So.
No, me neither.
But
I'd like to say I know myself, but hey,
I think the accurate description is you're learning yourself,
right?
Because you've been pretty straightforward about what you don't know about yourself. You say, I'm trying to discover, and
that's very fair,
and trying to learn, and Yeah, other than gaining that security, is there anything that you're particularly passionate about? I mean, is the helping people part of your plan?
Yes. Yes, I am very I get angry kind of passionate about it because I really don't like seeing people in bad predicaments or in bad spots in life. Like if you're really unhappy about your life, you can change it. You have the power of the world to change your life, but no one wants to do it. No one wants to think about their life, think about their bad eating habits, think about, hey, if I worked out for, half an hour for a week, what that would do differently for me. Or think about, hey, instead of me getting coffee and drinking a whole case of beer every night, if I stop doing that, what's that going to do for me? How is that going to affect me?
But you don't understand. The coffee and beer has an immediate payoff.
Right. Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, they'd rather go for that immediate fix than, waiting a little bit longer. Yeah. Seeing what they can really do.
Well, and there's a generational aspect to this too, Ian. I want to drag you in. I'll give you a couple seconds to think, but you and Ian are similar age, and the generation behind me, and that's all good. And
I don't know. He's a lot handsomer than me, though.
That's why we keep him off camera.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know, dude. You kind of look like a young Patrick Swayze.
Do I? Yeah, I've heard.
Don't you think?
What's the?
Kind of like a young Roadhouse. You ever seen that movie?
I haven't actually.
If you had the big hair, dude, you would
you want me to grow them? Oh,
you'd be dead on.
I've got a wicked mullet if I grow it out.
You'd be Swayze crazy, dude. You could do it.
All right. Hey.
And you're here in New Hampshire, Vermont, dude. You'd fit in. You'd be okay.
I just walk down the street. Everybody thinking nothing.
It's Roadhouse.
Yeah.
It's Roadhouse, dude. So, Ian, what I want to drag you in on is we've had conversations offline too about a lot of this kind of contemplation, right? So you guys are both young guys, and it's you guys. I get a sense you guys are considering things at a deeper level. You guys are asking some of the bigger questions faster than my generation ever did. Is that what you guys are all out there doing? Is that pretty common for your friend group, or are you guys kind of outliers with that stuff?
I think it's a personality thing.
It is.
Some people our age are into reading. Some are into personal development. It's actually, I'm starting to realize it's more common than I thought. But at the same time, it takes a specific type of person to be into that stuff. But as soon as you discover anything about self-help or personal development online, you're guaranteed to go down the rabbit hole, and it's gonna change you for sure.
Which makes sense for your age, because who am I? Right. Where do I fit? What's it all about? Those are just natural questions you're kind of asking.
Right. Yeah, and I think it's also the technology, because back then, if you had questions, if you wanted life advice, who would you go to? You'd probably go to an uncle or a parent or a teacher.
Right.
But now, everyone's online, and there's some benefit to that. I know we talk a lot about the drawbacks, but as bad as social media might be for some people, without it, I don't know where I would be. I'm really grateful for it.
Right.
Yeah.
And the communities that you find online and everything like that, it's just amazing. But what do you think, Cobe?
On technology, you go both ways, or
I do go both ways. I think it's the greatest thing known to man, but also
there's risks.
Yeah, the worst thing known to man, because I don't know, you look at everybody that was back then, they lived a simpler life. Mm-hmm. They had a family, they had kids, they worked on a farm, they did one thing, they did that thing. And now there's so many more options, so many more things out there. Yeah. And there's a lot more risk, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, the research shows that anxiety's through the roof. Depression's through the roof.
Yep.
PTSD, abuse, and trauma are all-time highs. And so you wonder about the exposure of that. Is that because we're just exposed to more of that? Because we're overloaded with information?
Right.
Educationally, we know what to call it now versus I had a bad day.
Right.
There's a lot of I was traumatized. You know what I mean? So maybe it's more accurate interpretation of the events. But it's a fascinating time because, I'm always struck with that. And I mean, it's not just you guys. You guys are exceptional in your own way for sure. But it's just, I'm running into a lot of that. And I think you're onto an important point with there's exposure now. I know how to talk about this differently and introduce these ideas.
It's the first step. I think there's also the danger in that, because what a lot of people do nowadays as well is that they outsource the internal work that has to be done towards watching more content, consuming more content.
Yep.
I like asking questions, which is a good thing. You got to start there. But when you described being outside, staring at the stars, contemplating, I think there's value in that too. And you kind of need both. You need information, but you also need solitude to create personal transformation. And that's what I've noticed myself. And now, after consuming so much content, now I'm, more on the side of like learn to be
Producing.
comfortable sitting alone in a room for hours and
Right.
journal and ask tough questions and stop looking for external answers.
Right.
Trust yourself.
Right. Yeah. To touch on that, you're thinking more like rather than consuming, you're thinking of producing. Rather than like you taking your time to watch something,
Right.
you take your time to produce something. So like that's big on like journaling. I journal a lot. That's one thing I would recommend to anyone that just getting like, a sense of who you are, just start writing things down. Writing like things down that you love, writing things down that you hate, writing things down that bother you. Me personally, what I like doing is I'll write down my dreams.
Okay.
Because dreams are symbolism.
Yeah.
So I will like look at that and look at those symbols to determine like what I'm thinking about, why I'm thinking about that, what's going on in my life that could cause that, and it's really beneficial. You can get really in depth with it. I'm not going to get too in depth because I don't know a whole lot, but
Yeah. You don't have to give me details. Do you have recurring dreams or recurring themes? You notice any
I do.
patterns?
Actually, as a kid, I had a big recurring dream. It was everyone dying. That was the biggest like recurring dream.
In
I
a
had to get
specific
used,
way or just that they
my
passed?
family, my
Yeah.
family dying. I had to get used to like living that every day, like living the fact that like my mom could die tomorrow. Like I had to like somehow, in some sense, emotionally prepare myself for that in my dream. And I don't know what that means for future, whether or not my mom dies, whether or not my mom doesn't die. I hope that she doesn't. She lives an amazing life for the rest of her life if she can. Millions of years, why the hell not? But it definitely makes you think a lot more.
I mean, two things that jump out to me. One is that, once again, how logical that would be, the changes and the chaos that you're going through, the fact of losing. You've lost your friend group a million times. Your dad would disappear to use. Your mom physically left the house. I mean, that makes perfect sense. And then just thanking you for reminding me why we got into this work. Because I mean, my heart just hurts for like 6-year-old you and like 8-year-old you and like 12-year-old you. I mean, you're doing your thing. You're a strong guy. You're making progress now. A lot to be optimistic about. But you went through it.
I did. I'm a lot stronger individual, and I'm a lot more thankful and more open-minded to things in life than most people would be to this. So I'm very, very thankful.
There's the flower that grows up through the sidewalk with incredibly deep roots. But there's also fields of flowers that are growing just because there's good soil and sunshine. Children grow better in love.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You grew in spite of.
I know, absolutely.
Right.
You're absolutely right.
Because I get it, and I get the positive spin. Like, hey, I went through it, and it's made me stronger. It's all for a reason, but it doesn't have to be that way.
No, yeah, you're absolutely right. No, yeah. I just hope that people that are that age right now looking at this can look at their life and, think on it. Think like, hey, like as much as whatever's going on, if this guy can do it and make it through, I can make it through.
Yeah. It's a perfect segue. We're getting close on time, but that's kind of my final answer is, for that person. So not just you or your siblings or whatever, but like there are millions of kids going through hard times right now. There are millions of families dealing with addiction, children of addicts, dealing with divorce, dealing with trauma. If they're listening, if they find this, what would be your message to those kids?
Stay strong. Stay yourself and stay positive. And when life is down, just know that there will be a helping hand, whether it's tomorrow, whether it's yourself, whether it's that buddy that helps you out in a way you don't even understand yet. But there's always going to be help. And there's always going to be somebody looking out for you rather than you looking out for yourself.
I mean, were there moments when because I think that's an important part of all this when I think about like self-harm and suicide, when people get stuck in this mindset of like, this is what my reality is going to be like forever, that's where they get stuck in that. But I mean, did you feel that? Did you feel like this is just my life, or did you always know there was progress possible?
I could honestly say I went back and forth. For a while, I truly believed like, I was going to get stuck in this. And then I would change my mindset because I realized that like, I don't know, everything changed. One thing is like change. Change is like the biggest thing. You change as a person, you change as an emotional figure, your life changes, you change your job, you change your food you eat. Everything changes. So always like account for change.
That's an important message. That's good. And there's lots of ways to change. You don't have to wait for that hero to show up and save you. You can start making changes yourself, even if it's your mindset.
No, exactly. Or absolutely. One thing like with your mindset I've noticed is like eating healthier food for one, rather than going to go get McDonald's because you're stressed out and you want that Big Mac and that flurry because it's cheap and it's easy to make and you don't have to worry about, cooking. Like take the time to get some healthy food in you and you will feel a lot better. You will feel a lot better.
That's that multi-directional nature of the mind-body connection, right? You can feel your way into different actions, or you could just act your way into different feelings, right? And there's a circle.
That's
there,
good. I like
you know?
that. No, absolutely.
And it takes a long time for people to kind of grasp that. That's the person who I'm going to wait till I feel like it, till I start making changes. You may wait forever. Or maybe not. Maybe you'll do the inner work. Maybe you'll have the ego death. Maybe you'll go to therapy. Maybe you'll have an epiphany, and you will feel different, and you'll take action. But most times, I see people act their way into feeling different.
No, absolutely. It's like, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. Oh, I'll do it tomorrow. Oh, I can still do it tomorrow.
Kobe, you're the man, dude. I wasn't you at 21. Where you are at 21, I will say, despite what you've been through, I mean, I had some tough times too. But you have a serious
Look
story.
forward to possibly having another podcast talking about you. Honestly, like, absolutely.
You're gonna come back, man.
Absolutely,
you're gonna come back. This progress. I'm excited. I mean, you're gonna be retired by 25. So in 4 years, you're gonna come back and let us know how you did that.
I will.
Shit.
Awesome.
It'll be the highest thing. Thank you for coming by, man.
Thank you.
You're the man, for real. Ian, thank you so much for flying and driving and contributing today, man. It was awesome. For those of you who don't know the inner workings at home, Ian sources a lot of our guests, and Ian sourced Kobe, and Kobe is has an awesome story and just an awesome piece
of a sorcerer.
He's a sorcerer. He's sorcerer. And then for you guys watching, just to talk to you for a second, I wrap it up the same way every time, but I really do appreciate you taking the time. Time is your most valuable asset. You chose to spend that with me, spend that with Kobe. If you've made it this far, you got something out of Kobe's story, and I hope you take that forward and use that for your, to start your growth and to start your journey. I think if I could sum up your situation, Kobe's not trying to be a finished product. He's saying, I'm on my way. Right. And so maybe you heard something today that helped get you on your way. And I think that's great. Get started. But yeah, I just appreciate you for being here. Kobe, do you want to be connected? I mean, do you have socials?
I've got an Instagram account I'm trying to grow right now for my fitness industry. And it's _man333. That'd be the best way to reach me.
Okay. We'll link that down and, have that. So, yeah. All right. Just appreciate you guys. Check out Kobe. Check out his stuff. And until next time, take care of yourself. And
I just say one
you got something? Yeah. I was in my wrap up, dude. I was in the launch.
No,
it's okay.
I'm sorry. I just want to say one thing, and that's just everybody out there. It doesn't matter like where you are right now, because everybody looks towards the future. If you just, the best quote I saw was, rather than looking at what's in front of you, if it's a dark room, if you can look down and you can see your 2 feet, and you can make that one step, because you don't know where you're going. No one knows where they're going. But if you can make that one step, then you're already doing it.
Start where you are with what you have.
Absolutely.
And just do the next thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I couldn't say it better, man. Look into this camera right here and say, until next time.
Till next time.
Take care of yourself.
Take care of yourself.
And take care of each other.
Take care of each other.
Hey guys, although Through Help and Back is an excellent podcast with a lot of great ideas, I do want to let you know that in no way is Through Help and Back expected to be perceived as or relied upon in any way as specific medical advice or mental health advice for you personally. The information provided through Help and Back on our website or our podcast is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment that can be provided by your own providers. Do not use our content in lieu of professional advice given by qualified medical professionals, and do not disregard professional medical advice or delay seeking professional advice because of the information you have read on our website, heard on our podcast, or otherwise received from us. Although we love discussing issues related to healthcare, mental health, and addiction, we are not providing direct healthcare, mental health care, medical, or nutrition therapy services. We're not attempting to diagnose, treat, prevent, or cure in any manner whatsoever any physical or psychological ailment, any mental or emotional issue, disease, or condition. We are not giving you specific medical, psychological, or religious advice whatsoever. Please take care of yourself and take care of others as you always seek the advice of your own medical providers and your own mental health providers regarding any questions or concerns you have about your specific health, or before implementing any recommendations or suggestions from us. These are ideas that have worked for other people. We think it's important to share them. We do not guarantee that they will work for you specifically. Do not stop taking any medications without speaking to your physician. nurse practitioner, physician assistant, mental health provider, or any other healthcare or medical professional. And if you have or suspect that you have a medical or mental health issue, contact your own healthcare provider promptly. Also, one last thing, if you know or suspect that you are currently experiencing a crisis, it is absolutely imperative that you seek the advice of your doctor or other emergency healthcare services prior to ever thinking about using our content. We love the conversations. We're glad you're stopping by. We hope you take a lot from the content. But again, for your specific individual medical situation, please always seek quality personal care from your own providers. Do not let this information or this advice stand on its own. Thanks so much for listening.